Tesla launched their Model S to the world in 2012, and since then it's gone through many variants. But this week, we were finally introduced to the craziest and most efficient versions yet. The facelifted Model S Long Range, the Plaid, and the Plaid Plus, which are all set to be available starting March 2021. You're watching Velocity Crew, and today we're taking a quick look at the all-new 2021 Tesla Model S. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give us a thumbs up, and if you're new here, subscribing really helps us out. Thank you for all your support, and with that, let's get to it. For those who may not know, the Model S is the car that brought Tesla into the world of truly mass-produced, everyday cars, and in my opinion, it's the flagship model of the brand, with the Model X SUV following in at a close second. So let's start by going over the facts, and then I'll give you my opinion on this latest iteration of the Model S. There are now 3 Model S variants. The Long Range, which now has a starting price of $72,990. Sorry ladies and gents, no more $69,420 starting price. $69,420. Get it? The interesting thing about this trim level though is that it's the entry level and it's still called the Long Range, with an estimated range of 412 miles, 155 mph top speed, and a 0 to 60 of 3.1 seconds, thanks to a dual motor setup with all-wheel drive that comes standard. And just to give you context, that's still comfortably supercar levels of performance in a base level car. Next up, you have the long-rumored Model S Plaid. With a starting price of $112,990, it's exactly $40,000 more than the long-range variant. And for that, you get a 390-mile range, tri-motor all-wheel drive system which propels the car 260 in 1.99 seconds, all the way to a top speed of 200 miles an hour. This Model S Plaid is now the fastest car to 60, not only in its price range, but in the world. The Plaid also comes with 1,020 horsepower, which enables a quarter-mile time of 9.23 seconds at 155 miles an hour, and it also launches and has torque vectoring similar to the Nissan GT-R. And in a completely different universe, with a starting price range of $60,000 higher than the Long Range, you have the Plaid Plus, coming in at $132,990. This is where things get somewhat unbelievable. 520 plus mile range, 200 mph top speed, 0 to 60 in less than 1.99 seconds, a quarter-mile time in less than 9 seconds, and just for context, a Bugatti Chiron with 1,500 horsepower does it in 9.4 seconds. Let that sink in. The standard Model S Plaid still beats it. And just for additional insult to injury, 1,100 plus horsepower on your electric Model S. They keep using these less than and plus symbols on these vehicles, and it's actually kind of interesting. It makes me want to believe that there's still some untapped potential here. Because as far as performance is concerned, Tesla is not playing games. And speaking of games, let's talk about the interior, where we can start by discussing the literal gaming computer they've embedded into the center console, which contains 10 teraflops, and it's advertised to compete with the most modern gaming consoles of today. Think PS5 and Xbox Series X. They've even advertised it as being able to play The Witcher 3 via the Tesla Arcade with wireless controller capability, and even on Twitter, Elon Musk says that it can play Cyberpunk 2077. I wonder if the glitches of that game will cause road rage. Too soon? Let's briefly talk about that center console. So for starters, it's a 17-inch 2200 by 1300 resolution display with a left and right tilt capability, which we were never demoed that feature, so I'm curious to see what that looks like. But there's also a standard digital display in front of the driver, as well as one in the rear seat for passengers. And the new steering wheel that you probably already see on the internet is called the yoke. No wait, it's the yoke. Yep, similar to what you may find on a plane. The selling point of this steering wheel is that there's no gear stock, no shifting, no cruise control or autopilot stalks, just a wheel with buttons on it. which by the looks of it probably contains some type of haptic feedback or touch functionality, and I'll just leave it at that. We'll come back to the steering wheel later in the video. And another cool feature inside this car is what Tesla is calling the best listening experience in your car or your home, which is interesting. But it does have a 22-speaker, 960-watt sound system, but the interesting thing is it's got new microphones inside which enable noise canceling from inside of the car. So most cars rely on strong insulation and dual-pane glass for this, but apparently the Model S will use that in conjunction with this new microphone technology to have an extremely quiet interior. And the last thing to note on the interior are the different leather options. On all three variants, you get to pick from three colors: all black, black and white, and cream. Pretty basic. As far as trim options, the long range comes standard with walnut trim, and the Plaid and Plaid Plus come with carbon fiber trim. The trend of keeping it simple continues back on the exterior on all three trims because you only get 5 basic color options and 2 wheel options. The 19-inch rental cars, the 19-inch Tempest wheels or the 21-inch Arachnids. And that pretty much sums it up. Those are the facts and most of the main details you need to know about the new 2021 Tesla Model S. Available March 2021. But we're not done yet. I still want to talk a little bit about what I think about this car. And why does my opinion matter, you might ask? Well, I've already consumed about 6.5 minutes of your life, and if you're still here, that means you're a die-hard Velocity Crew fan. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a good time to do it. So, I'll start off by saying I'm definitely a big fan and an enthusiast of technology in general. I like reading about industry trends and new products, and depending on the need, I'll even be an early adopter. I mean, it worked out great with this latest new console generation. But jokes aside, I'm not that big of an electric car enthusiast. However, as much as I love combustion engines, just reading about this new Model S kind of makes me want one. In like an ideal world where I already have like 3 or 4 gas-powered cars. But they've really done a hell of a job with this Model S in general over the years, and anytime I've ever been in one or read about it, it just is the embodiment of what a futuristic car is. Now, I still think for someone who isn't in need of a combustion motor, Tesla has some of the best practical and most advanced cars on the market, and range anxiety is a little less of a thing now thanks to a wide network of superchargers, and their quality has definitely improved year over year, and now they're able to actually meet customer demand. But that said, there are a few things that concern me about this new Model S. Okay, I didn't even write a script for this part because I've got a bone to pick. Solid black, $1,500? I mean, a 2020 Mercedes Maybach S650. $0 for black paint. So I got a little bit of a problem with that. I mean, come on, you could have given us black for free. Okay, and I also have a little bit of issue with charging $4,500 for these Arachnid wheels, which they are forged, they do save a little bit of weight, but turns out there's no even noticeable performance improvement as a result. Brooks over at Drag Times tested these wheels out a couple years ago, so $4,500, I definitely like the look of the older turbine wheels more, so I'd probably say save your money on this one. And what about the styling in general? I mean, I think the Model S is a great looking car. I mean, I'm not faulting it by any means, but we're coming up on 8-9 years of this thing being produced, and it has just been gradual evolutions. So I'm hoping in the next iteration they come with some more heavy changes to the car just to really evolve it, but I get it. There's a lot of projects going on and they're focused on small and incremental changes, but slight bone to pick there. And all these things are really just nitpicks. I mean, it's not game-changing or deal-breaking things by any means. But the thing that I'm a little curious to see how it goes is this steering wheel. I mean, the yoke has been a big topic of discussion from a lot of outlets that I've seen, at least in the past week that this car has been out, and really, the design is striking. I mean, that's one thing. So let's see from a safety perspective, how does that fare? But the thing that's even more interesting is that there are 0 gear shifters, no turn signals, which, you know, Ferraris of modern times, they do that. I mean, that's not a big deal, but I'm very curious about how the whole no gear shifter thing is going to play out. I mean, how is it going to predict what I want to do? I'm sure it'll use some type of GPS locating and know like, hey, when I'm home, do I back in mostly? Maybe you can save presets. And I know Elon Musk mentioned that there were manual overrides on the screen, so obviously there will be a way to manually select gears, but I'm just curious for those who elect to use this feature, how safe is it going to be? How accurate is it going to be? And maybe it's something like autopilot, which it takes time to learn and it still does need some drive interventions. I'm very curious about how this will play out. So those really sum up my opinions on the new Model S. Like I said, overall, I think it's a great car and you can't go wrong. If you buy this car, you will be happy with it. It's some of the best value for money, and the technology and just the features, and now the network of superchargers and all the different support networks for Tesla, it's better than it's ever been. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where they go with this. I'm sure it's going to be very successful, and hopefully I get to drive one in the near future. I'm really looking forward to it. So with that, now you have the facts, you have some opinions. I'd love to hear yours down below in the comments. And as I always say, if you like the video, please make sure to give us a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed already, now's a great time to do that as well. So thanks again for all the support. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.